Welcome to Feminism Today, everyone. I'm Sophia Johnson in New York. Project Kadira is a student-led social enterprise advocating for sustainable menstrual hygiene and menstrual literacy in India. The project produces affordable, hygienic, biodegradable, and reusable pads for menstruators belonging to marginalized communities. Importantly, they provide financial independence to rural women by offering job opportunities in the manufacturing and distribution of sanitary pads in India. For more on this, we're joined now by Qadira Hygiene's founder and CEO, Drishti Makhijani, and marketing and communications lead, Sadhika Uppal. Hello, ladies. Welcome to Feminism Today.
Hi, Sophia. Thank you so much for having us on the show today.
Thank you for being here. So excited about this. You guys are amazing young entrepreneurs, the next who's who of India. Drishti, the first question is for you. The $38 billion feminine care industry is projected to reach $54 billion globally by 2028. What do investors get right or wrong about feminine hygiene or feminine care products?
I think there has been a lot of mansplaining in the industry so far. The kind of products that you see in the market today were very less centered and led by individuals who actually use these products. So I mean that was very wrongly interpreted back in the day, but now you see more young individuals, young menstruators taking lead on this and sort of trying to create products that we as users love, and try to create more affordable and sort of good quality products.
Yeah. Sadhika, I've read that Project Kadira's growth strategy is really about bringing social awareness in India to the value of self-care. Can you explain or talk a little bit about the strategy for connecting with women?
A lot of culture is revolving around the fact that empowerment of women is really important. And what we believe is, empowerment through education. And so when we did our menstrual hygiene drives, we didn't just give them, disposable pads. Instead, we empowered them with the knowledge of why it was important for them to use these pads, giving them an understanding of exactly how their body works and why the pads that we are providing with Project Kadira are good for them. So we designed interesting workshops for them in different languages for different areas that we were targeting. And that's how we really helped them understand and educated them on the fact about how they should be aware of their bodies and do the best they can and create that, self-love and self-care kind of a feeling.
This is all very fascinating. Drishti, can we talk a little bit about your journey towards becoming a CEO? One, how? I just can't even fill in the blank. Two, are you working with a venture capitalist? How did you get funding for this project?
So we started off by crowdfunding, and that's what we based our initial funding on. So we created a bunch of campaigns that, again, the power of the student community basically is what sort of helped us get where we are today. We sort of motivated individuals to understand that no contribution was small, even if they could say donate 50 rupees or about 100 rupees or 200 rupees, that would really be helpful. And we were completely transparent throughout the process, and we kept everyone who donated involved in terms of sort of letting them see where their money was going and how we were actually going out impacting lives, how the product came to life. So all of that was, I think, the initial coming together of the project. And then from project to hygiene, obviously, when we sort of formalized everything and when we sort of started to turn into a brand, into a company, then I think the approach had to take a complete 360 turn. That's the point where we had to sort of move away from the idea of being students and of being student led to being more sort of centered around proper professionals, because in this industry, when you're selling a product commercially, there is a lot of added responsibility that you have, and you can't not falter.
Yeah.
So that entire professionalism had to sort of come into play, which was absolutely challenging, because at the end of the day, we were all students. We
Hmm.
hadn't seen that kind of environment. We hadn't I mean, that was something that we would eventually be eased into a couple of years down the line, but that growing up sort of happened because of situations for all of us.
Hmm.
So I think that's where again the funding had to sort of shift. And now that we were initially testing the proof of concept, and all of that was completely bootstrapped, and were funded by most of my savings. Now that we're looking to grow and expand, and now that we know that there is a market out there for the product, and that people are loving the product, and there's so much more that we can do, now is the time where we're actually looking out for venture capitalists or angel investors or individuals who would want to invest and help us grow as a brand, and sort of become like a global leader in the femtech industry.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You'll have to come back and tell us more. Sadhika, what are you really excited about now in terms of the story that Drishti just shared, the trajectory, after, over such a short space of time, really? What are you excited about now in terms of where the brand is headed?
All right. So I'll just rewind a little. The reason I am associated and feel so strongly about Kadira and the products are because I definitely understand what a menstruator goes through. And like I personally also have PCOD, so my periods are just too bad. Another thing is Drishti is like my best friend since I think nursery, play school, or maybe when we were in our
Oh,
diapers.
wow.
When I got to know that she is doing something like this, I could not be a part of this or not support her. And I just think that we've figured it out as we've gone. And in the coming times, I definitely would like to emphasize, and we are currently also working on a product for people who have like heavy flows. Like for example, people with PCOD, they their regular or normal cycle is like it may be 1 month, it may be 2 months, it may be 3 months, or they may not come at all.
Yeah.
So, and when they do come, the flow might be excessive. So we are definitely not only trying to increase the variety of products that we offer right now, because like I mentioned, the first product itself took a lot of iterations because we just wanted it to be perfect for every user. So now we are moving towards definitely introducing more products, but let's say like there are other more sustainable products also, like menstrual cups or cloth pads, things like that. But also, like I mentioned, what about pads for women with PCOD or PCOS who have need a longer pad or stronger pad or like one with more flow? So definitely not only expanding into a variety of products, but also sort of, if we can, experiment and create a new product in altogether. That's
Nice.
something that I'm really excited about.
Very nice. Drishti, what has been most important to you personally and professionally as you establish yourself as an entrepreneur? Are you thinking about global sales? Are you thinking mostly about domestic sales? And what are those numbers like at this point?
I think right now it's just domestic sales. Because before, I mean, global is at the end of the day a goal that we do see ourselves achieving at some point in time. But right now, I think we're more centered to becoming, a very strong brand within our country. Try and serve the masses. And as Sadhaka said, diversify. So I mean, if I were to answer this question in terms of where we're looking in terms of geography, right now I'm focusing more towards domestic and then eventually moving to global.
Hmm.
And when it comes to products, I think we're looking to bring out a few innovative products to life, which will ease the lives of menstruators. A few interesting and innovative concepts that we've been, working on that we don't know how the audience will react to. So I mean, those are the kind of things that we're trying to work on.
Hmm. Very good. Now, Sadhika, can you tell us a little bit about the timeline to bring products to the market? You talked a little bit about how excited you were about bringing sort of things coming down the pipeline, really. Tell us a little bit about the timeline to bring products to market, how they're tested in the communities, for example.
All right, so definitely our first round for testing is our team, our members,
Okay.
and we definitely have like basic certification for the products because in different countries there are different requirements. So for India, like for the product that is already released, we got the test done for which certifies that there are no chemicals or toxins or that this is organic cotton, things like that. Basically, that give a proof of whatever you're stating is verified by
Okay.
a government authority or body, just to
Okay.
instill and firstly build that sense of trust in the minds of the consumers, because again we are just a very young brand. And I believe that though we do set deadlines and we do meet them, however we will not compromise on the quality. So even if I say that the product is going to come into the market in the next 3 months and we are not
Yeah.
happy with it, we might not just release it. It
Okay.
might take another 4 5 more iterations for us to get that consumer feedback, to get that understanding of who the audience is, how do we market it without doing it. Like Drishti even mentioned in terms of the fact that we are currently focusing on domestic sales. Why we are doing that is because we want to perfect one area and then expand to the other. Similarly, when the product like the first or second iteration is ready, we will definitely have a very widespread testing done for even existing Kadira consumers, having them give us feedback on the product that we are willing to introduce, because more than a brand it's more of a community building that we are trying to
Mhm.
do. And so though I feel that in the coming few months we will have news for you, I don't want to commit anything right now because we won't be compromising on the quality if we are not satisfied.
Drishti, has social media helped impact the business? If so, has your team been involved in, how do you sort of deal with this challenge? I mean, social media there's a good and there's a bad. So how do you
Bad.
balance this whole space, and does it serve its purpose in terms of expanding the way you engage with consumers?
Um, so I would take this question up in the light of the two verticals that we have. If you talk about Project Kadira, is where we started off, where we use social media to build a community. So there, the goal was to sort of educate and empower individuals, right? So we were doing a lot of content based community building, and that worked extremely well in that area. And we were able to build connections with other organizations and other individuals who sort of resonated with the cause and sort of joined the project and sort of helped us reach to international geographies when it comes to creating an impact, right? So the community that was built there sort of helped us when we launched Qadira Hygiene, when we
Mm.
launched products for like open sales for general market. At
Mhm.
that point in time, this community really helped us because these were our first customers, because they'd seen us grow from a project to now into a brand and launching our products. So they'd been a part of that journey, and we sort of tried to keep it as raw and real for them on social media. But now, when we talk about in terms of acquiring new customers via social media and completely having a separate account and channel of communications for the brand, that is an extremely challenging part to do, right? Because there the strategy of communication is completely going to be different. And we have people commenting all sorts of things, and then you have competitors in the market doing all sorts of pulling all sorts of shenanigans. You have comments, and how do you keep your comments authentic and raw and respectful? So those are the kind of things that we're still trying to figure out as we go. But yeah, hopefully I think we will be able to figure that out, because social media is just extremely maddening. Things can go viral within seconds and within minutes.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And you are the social media generation. So
Yes, absolutely. Um and I think there's both good and bad to it, as I talk in terms of a founder. So um I made my account public, just to sort of to keep that accessibility
yeah.
um to me, and to sort of create that brand transparency and sort of take people along through the journey. But there has been like a downside to it.
Yeah.
You are all of a sudden exposed to so many comments, not just in terms of what you're doing with the brand and what you're doing in terms of work, but also lot comes on in like a very personal light
Yeah. Yeah.
of where you're doing. So all of a sudden, from being like a very free individual who would post very, very freely of whatever I was doing, I have now sort of started to become a little filtered,
Yeah.
because like I'm going to put this up. I do not know who is going to react to it, how, or what kind of backlash, is going to come. And, with that, there is also a sense of, not just in terms of backlash, but also in terms of certain sense of responsibility, that there are people who are watching,
Yeah.
right, in terms of who are sort of seeing you as as a person that they look up to.
As a
And you
business
don't
person, as a yeah.
you know as and when you, as you said, like as a business person, there is a lot has been dehumanized about being a CEO, or running a brand, right? There is this like this an idea that this person is going to be constantly running. There's a lot of showbiz, and you're just hustling, and there's this hustle culture. That kind of expectations have been built. However, in reality, it's completely the opposite. So how
Yeah.
do you keep it raw, and how do you keep it relatable, while also you know
Shutting down
making
on
sure
no, I hear what
it's
you're saying. I mean, I would imagine it's a little bit of also shutting down unsolicited advice, right? From
yes,
non-experts, right? Who want to
yes,
weigh in on the Kadira project and what you should do and
absolutely,
what your business
absolutely.
priorities should be for 2023, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we have this running joke, because anybody you meet and anybody you sort of interact with and tell what you're doing, they would have a whole list of things that they would want to sort of have their advice on. So we joke around the fact that we don't run Kadira. There are 10,000 other people outside of the organization running their own mini Kadiras in their head.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah.
again, with that, there are two sides of it. Some of them have really amazing advice that is actually very, valuable to us, because we have very limited experience where we come from, and there are people who are much, much more experienced. So that sort of helps in. But then there is a lot of the, as you said very rightly, unsolicited advice and unsolicited opinions and destructive criticism that sort of weighs you down, or at times puts you in a headspace where you start to question yourself and question
Mhm,
everything that you've been doing.
mhm.
So like it's a constant challenge to filter that out. We sort of redefine customer centricity when we say that this is a brand that is co-created by fellow menstruators. It is not just a couple of us sitting here doing the job. It's all of us together. So
Mhm.
their feedback, their experiences, all of that matters to us. And we don't just want to give them a pad. It's about giving them an entire ecosystem,
Yeah.
right? Giving them
Yeah.
not just the pad to use, but how to dispose it off, where to dispose it off, and and ease of carrying, making sure each step of it is taken care of, instead of it just being a singular pad in that sense.
You're both very young, but persons with emerging influence. I see more influence over time. Drishti, I wonder if you could very quickly talk about the business environment for women in India in this moment that you find yourself in.
I think it is obviously, it's been made easier by the ones who led before us. And, the entire idea of creating more room and more space, and for other women coming up there to lead. So I've been very lucky in that sense to have had individuals who've sort of created the room and sort of given me that hand to sort of enter the room. However, it is still I mean, I think we're far from being there, because day in day out there are experiences that I've personally encountered. So by now, I think I've become very comfortable with being the only women in an entire room full of men, and that doesn't scare me. But in my initial days, when I just started out 2 years back, that was extremely daunting. I could not open my mouth and I couldn't ask for an opportunity up until and I would stand in one or two of the corners up until I spoke to other women entrepreneurs who sort of gave their valuable advice. And that's where you know that's when I started sort of making space for myself, um speaking out louder, putting my pointers, unafraid. That and there was this very shocking incident that happened at one of these events. When you come so far, when you sort of gather that courage and you become that confident that you're no less than anybody, and you're presenting. And we were at one of these events, and a very very senior individual sort of, it was a competitive event, and there weren't many females in that specific room pitching that day. So he walked up to me and he was like, you did a great job. And I just feel there should be a separate category for women in this
Hmm.
competition. And I sort of, I obviously didn't say anything at that point. And I came back and, I thought of it in retrospect, and I was like, wait, why, but?
Yeah, yeah,
It is, we all have the same intellect. We're all operating on the same
yeah.
sort of mental capacity. Then why do I need a separate category? I can very well
Absolutely.
compete,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
And if I did not win that specific day, I mean, I wouldn't take it for it to be because I was a woman. I would take it to be that no, my pitch needed to be refined, the plan needed to change.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think there are still like conversations like these that sort of put you like 10 steps back if you move 2 steps forward. And I'm very sure he didn't mean it in the sense of in the fact that I wasn't good. He probably meant it as a compliment, but people don't realize that having a separate category in a space like this really defeats the purpose of inclusion.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
you much rather you're not at this point segregating instead of like including.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Um, we only have a couple of minutes left. I want to touch on the fact that you're doing some outreach in Africa. One, which country, and how does this collaboration come about?
We're working in Ghana at the moment, and this collaboration sort of is a tri-party collaboration between Teens Pride Ghana, between Redefine Canada, and Project Kadira. From Project Kadira, it is led by two amazing individuals, Tanvi and Chavi, who take the lead on this entire project. And how we've been working is that we initially did like a quick ground study where we sent across a bunch of questions to folks at Teams Pride Ghana, who sort of gave us inputs and feedbacks of how individuals saw menstruation and what the issues per se exactly were.
Hmm.
And we collected all of that data, a lot of like audio, visual data, that data with the team here in India,
Hmm.
and designed workshops and sessions to effectively educate the masses. So right now the pilot was to be run with 5 schools, which each of these school has 100 individuals, and we've successfully done it with 2 schools. And now we're remaining with the 3 other schools that we will be doing in the next coming up months. So I mean, we designed those sessions, we've sort of sent them, we took a mock training for the individuals who took the session on ground, all over meets and emails and those sort of communication formats. And once everyone was ready, we took it on ground, and right now it's running on ground, and the response has been beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, and as an organization, we never work in terms of, oh, we impacted so many lives. Our goal is that even if one individual at the end of the session walks out of that room feeling more confident and more comfortable, we always say that our job is done.
Yeah.
And we feel really blessed to be at a position where we have the kind of opportunity to be able to do this for other folks.
I was just saying that I feel that even if the trajectory changed, our approach and values at heart still remain, empowering, educating, and making them feel, their true self. Just
We have.
a little push, or just a little hand holding, even if that's what's required, we're there. So the core values still remain empowering them, educating them, and making them feel that, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Normal.
And yeah, exactly. And just be
It's
comfortable with
bloody
yours.
normal. I think it's time to
Exactly.
say
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So, okay, so we've got two final questions. So much to consider: work-life balance, the COVID pandemic. What's been the biggest lesson for you, Sadhika, in terms of managing or co-managing the marketing and communications piece in this post-pandemic, global pandemic era, the era for self-care and work-life balance? What's the biggest lesson here?
I think that it's just taken me back to our own, Indian cultures and our roots a little bit more. Giving yourself that time, taking out that time for yourself. I think that I started yoga during the pandemic. I was calmer, and I felt that definitely being a student, also focusing on my academics as well as extracurriculars and making time for Kadira has definitely been a challenge for sure. But the fact that I feel so strongly about the mission that we are trying to accomplish, about the kind of audience that we are trying to reach out, I feel that when you're so inspired and so dedicated towards something, you do find time and you do it in the best way possible. So I feel that even though there was initial stages, there was like I did face a little challenge in maintaining that work-life balance. I think Kadira deserves, that spot in my life that even if I have to disrupt that balance, I'll go that extra mile.
I
So
love
that
that.
is definitely there for me.
I love that. Drishti, last question for you. What should advocacy and activism look like in terms of women's health in 2023 and beyond?
I think it's just speaking our minds out. I mean, it's time we take charge of things that concern us, things that revolve around our lives. And I mean, it's just about reclaiming our own power.
I love that.
That's it, I think.
Drishti Makhijani is the CEO of Project Kadira, and Sadhika Uppal is the marketing communications lead. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you so much for having us. It was lovely interacting.
We're really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so, so much.
And that's it for our program today. Remember, you can follow me and the show on Instagram or Twitter. Thank you so much for watching Feminism Today on Free Speech TV. Join us again next week.